My neighbor handed me a rifle and said my mom wasn't human anymore. The floorboards upstairs groaned under her weight, a slow, deliberate creak that told me one thing: time was up. There was no plan B, no gathering evidence like some TV detective. There was only the window, the rain-soaked ground below, and the screaming in my head that said, "Run." I grabbed my pack, a useless collection of school books and a half-eaten bag of chips, and shoved the window sash up. It fought me with a shriek of painted-over wood. I didn't care. I swung a leg over the sill, my jeans catching on a nail. A quick, hard yank and I was free, dropping into the muddy flower bed she planted last spring. My ankle twisted, a sharp bolt of pain, but I ignored it. I scrambled to my feet, tasting dirt and fear. The bike. I had to get to the dirt bike. I ran. Not a jog, not a sprint, a full-on, lungs on fire, panic-fueled bolt through the yard. The engine caught on the second kick, a sputtering roar that sounded like salvation. I didn't look back. I just twisted the throttle and shot down our long gravel driveway, fishtailing in the muck. The main road was a blur. I swerved onto the old hunting trail, a narrow scar cutting through the thick woods that separated our property from the Blackwoods. The world became a tunnel of green and brown. Wet leaves slapped my face. Branches, thin as whips, tore at my arms, leaving angry red lines on my skin. Blood beaded on my sleeves, tiny little jewels of proof that this was real. Mud flew up, caking my legs, weighing me down. I just kept my eyes forward, listening. Listening for the sound of her. Listening for anything other than the frantic thump of my own heart. 15 minutes felt like a lifetime. Then, through the trees, I saw the dim, yellow glow of a porch light. Silas Blackwood's place. It was less a house and more of a fortress. A cluttered testament to a man who trusted no one. I killed the bike's engine next to a gutted sedan from another decade, its back doors missing like torn-out teeth. My legs felt like jelly as I stumbled up the porch steps. Before my knuckles could even hit the door, the porch light flared on, blinding me. I hammered on the wood. Silas, open the door. It's Cormac. I heard movement inside, the heavy scrape of a chair. Then the sound of locks turning. 1, 2, 3, 4. The door opened a crack, and a sliver of his face appeared. "The hell you want?" His voice was gravel. "If you're the revenue man, I told you, that still ain't mine." "It's not. It's me, Cormac, from next door." My voice cracked. "Oh, the boy." Wren's friend. He squinted, his thumb and forefinger worrying the ends of his thick gray mustache. "Bit early for a social call, ain't it? She's still asleep." The words tumbled out of me, a frantic, breathless mess. "My mom. She killed my dad. I saw it. I need help." I fumbled with my backpack, pulling out the journal. I wrote it down. Everything. It's all in here. Boy, I can't make heads or tails of Chicken Scratch. He cut me off with a dry chuckle, but his eyes weren't laughing. They were sharp, assessing. He swung the door wide. "But I can listen. Come on in." I practically fell inside. He bolted the 4 locks behind me. The place smelled of gun oil, old wood, and something else, something wild. The walls of his living room were a museum of death. Glassy-eyed deer stared down from every angle, their antlers draped with dusty Christmas lights. Antique rifles were mounted over the fireplace. I collapsed onto a couch covered in a worn panther hide, my backpack dropping to the floor with a thud. Silas disappeared into the kitchen. So the old girl finally popped her cork, his voice echoed from the other room. Always knew there was something not right about that one. Felt it in my bones. I think she's gonna come for me next. My hands were shaking so bad I had to clench them into fists. What'd she do with the body? Garage. I think she hung him up, bleeding him out, like a buck. The statement was flat, matter of fact. My throat closed up. Silas. I think she ate part of him. The clinking from the kitchen stopped. Dead silence for a long moment. He walked back in holding a bottle of cinnamon whiskey and 2 dusty shot glasses. He sat down next to me, the couch springs groaning in protest. He poured 2 shots. "Son," he said, his voice low and serious, If she tasted human flesh, she ain't your mother anymore. Not really. The old folks, the ones who were here before us, they had a name for that, a wendigo. The word hung in the air, absurd and terrifying, a monster from a ghost story. But looking at the mounted heads, at the quiet intensity in Silas's eyes, it felt sickeningly real. He pushed a glass into my hand. Drink this. Settle your nerves. We clinked glasses. The whiskey was fire, a searing trail down my throat and into my gut. For a second, the shaking stopped. She's sick, I managed to say. She's insane. Insanity is the doorway, boy, not the destination. He took my empty glass. You gotta keep an open mind to what you're dealing with here. Now come on. I got something that'll solve a problem like her. He led me to a door at the back of the house and down a set of steep wooden stairs into his basement. He flicked a switch. A single bare bulb illuminated a sight that made my jaw drop. It was an armory. Walls lined with rifles, shotguns, handguns. Crates of ammo were stacked in the corners next to what looked like homemade claymore mines. Don't mind them traps, he grunted, nodding towards a tangle of wires and pressure plates. Those are for Bigfoot. He walked over to a rack of black military-style rifles. This is what we need. This is insane, I breathed. This ain't a movie, son. He pulled an AR-15 from its hooks and pressed it into my hands. It was heavier than I expected, cold and serious. If it was a movie, I'd already be over there being a hero. He gave me a thin, grim smile. It was the first time I felt like I had an adult on my side, truly on my side, in my entire goddamn life. My own father had never looked at me with that kind of respect. Boom. The entire house shuddered. The light bulb overhead swung wildly, casting dancing, distorted shadows across the guns. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Jesus Christ. She blew the house up. The words tore from my throat. Silas didn't flinch. He grabbed a heavy vest from a hook and a handful of magazines, shoving them at my chest. Get this on. Now. No time for jawing. He armed himself with a similar rifle and started for the stairs. Ren, you decent? He bellowed up. Dad? What was that? Her voice was thin, scared. Neighbor's house went up. Me and Cormac are gonna check it out. You tell your ma where I went when she gets home from her shift. He was already moving, a man with a purpose. Stay inside and lock the doors. We burst out into the gray morning light. The air was thick with smoke, acrid. My home was a pillar of orange flame chewing its way into the sky. Get in the sedan, Silas yelled, already at the driver's side. It ain't pretty, but it runs. I jumped into the passenger seat. The floor was littered with empty shell casings. He slid behind the wheel, jammed a bent paperclip into the ignition, and with a jiggle, the engine roared to life. He slammed the car into gear, and we shot backwards, tires screaming. My head snapped back against the seat. How the hell I started to ask. Ain't my car, he shouted over the engine noise and the blare of some old rock music that crackled from the one working speaker. Fella left it here 6 months back. Never came for it. Best damn car I ever had. He spun the wheel, and we lurched forward, barreling down the hunting trail, back the way I came. It was chaos. We bounced and slid through the mud, AC/DC blasting, heading straight for the inferno. Through the windshield, the fire was beautiful and horrifying. A funeral pyre for my entire life. Sweet Mother of God, Silas hissed, slamming on the brakes. It's her. I saw her then. Standing in the middle of our driveway, silhouetted against the flames. She was still wearing the white robe, now stained dark, and in her hand she held a long branch. Impaled on the end was Delia's head, tongue lolling out, eyes wide with a final frozen surprise. Holy fuck, I screamed. The car idled, a low rumble in the sudden silence. We just stared. Cormac. Her voice was not a yell, it was a command. It echoed in the smoke-filled air, unnatural and loud. Don't you say a word, Silas whispered, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Don't move. You must be cleansed, Cormac. The filth must be burned away. She threw the branch down. Delia's head rolled into a puddle with a soft splash. Silas shook his head slowly. Not this shit. What do we do? I whispered, my eyes locked on her. Do we? Run her over? No. Shoot her. Not yet, boy. Just wait. Cormac. She started walking towards us, a slow, steady pace. As she got closer, I saw it. Her eyes. They were gone. Just two dark, weeping holes in her face, blood running in clean tracks down her cheeks. She had carved them out. Fuck me, Silas breathed. Look at her face. I see it. How is she walking a straight line with no goddamn eyes? She was 10 feet away. 5. Her head was cocked to the side, as if listening for our heartbeats. Silas's hand shot to the gear stick. Hold on, he snarled. He stomped on the gas. The car lunged forward. She didn't try to move. She just raised her arms and leaped. Not like a person, but like an animal. She hit the hood with a sickening crunch of metal and bone, her body sprawling across the windshield, her eyeless face inches from mine, separated only by a pane of glass. A thin, black tongue, forked like a snake's, flicked out from her lips and tasted the air. Jesus. Christ. Silas screamed, wrenching the wheel hard to the left. The car spun, tires losing purchase in the mud. Her body slid off the side, and I heard a series of heavy, wet thuds as we ran her over. Thump. Hump. The car skidded to a stop, facing the woods. I twisted in my seat, my heart trying to beat its way out of my chest, expecting to see her mangled body in the road. There was nothing, just muddy tire tracks and the burning house. She's gone, I gasped. She's just gone. Silas stared into the rearview mirror, his face pale. Wendigo, he said, his voice a hoarse whisper. I told you, once they taste it, they ain't human, they change. So my grandfather, Abelard, the name felt like poison in my mouth. He wasn't just a killer. He must have gained the hunger, Silas finished. That's when we heard the sirens. A single sheriff's car, lights flashing, pulled into the driveway. A portly man in a tan uniform got out, shotgun in his hands. Ah, hell, Silas muttered. He got out of the car, holding his hands up where the sheriff could see them. They talked for a few minutes, their voices too low to hear over the crackle of the fire. Silas came back to the car. All right, boy. You're gonna go with the sheriff. I'll stay here, wait for the fire crew. You don't have to. Don't argue, he said, his eyes hard. It's time you had a damn adult looking out for you. Silas, the sheriff called out, walking towards the sedan. Where'd you get this car? Found it. Somebody left it on my property a while back. Why? The sheriff stopped and peered at the license plate. It's got Minnesota plates. Was reported stolen a few months ago. Belongs to a fella named Abelard Finch. Silas went rigid. We can get it back to him. Not likely, the sheriff said, pulling out a notepad. He's dead, hit by a drunk driver walking along the highway. But his lawyer said if the car was ever found, it was to be returned to his next of kin. He looked from Silas to me, his brow furrowed. A woman named Morwenna.